The next time you say the Pledge of Allegiance, remember, it's a line, a whopper of a line. We coax it from the mouths of babes for the same reason our politicians wear those flag pins in their lapels.
Foreign aid goes from poor people in rich countries to rich people in poor countries.
I don't know what Mayor Bloomberg has in mind, but that makes me want to join the Tea Party and marry Ann Coulter, you know? And that's...
Biden is right off camera playing pin the tail on himself.
The Associated Press, the largest news gathering outlet in the world, will no longer use the term illegal immigrant. They'll now use the phrase undocumented Democrat. That is the new undocumented Democrat. No more.
Freedom prospers when religion is vibrant and the rule of law under God is acknowledged. An informed patriot is what we want.
Welcome to Focal Point, the home of muscular Christianity on Conservative Talk Radio. Muscular Christianity, where we relentlessly explore the intersection of truth and politics.
The trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so.
Now, here's your host, Brian Fisher.
And welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. The program is Focal Point. This is the second hour of this Thursday edition of Focal Point on AFR Talk. 888-589-8840 number to call if you want to join the conversation. Let's go to Ray. Let's start off the hour by going to Ray in Marietta, Texas. Ray, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian, straight from the horse's mouth in Colorado. When we lived in the San Luis Valley, we lived in La Jera. I went down to Antonito to talk to the Conejos County Sheriff about a concealed carry permit. And no problem getting it. Just fill out the paperwork and, no classes, no shooting, anything. But he said, now remember, you cannot take it to Denver. If you go to Denver, you cannot. He says, I, as a county sheriff, and I go to Denver to a county sheriff's convention, I cannot take my gun to Denver. Now, this was in 1998, okay? I suspect it probably hasn't done much changing. But
so even though he was
because of that, and also in La Jera, our town marshal, I told him that I had the interview by Dr. Dobson on, what's that guy's name? Ted Bundy. He wanted to see it, and he made it mandatory that all of his officers viewed that tape.
Wow. And that's the one where Bundy explains the impact of pornography on what turned out to be his homicidal rampage.
Yes, sir. So. And he would not talk to Dr. Dobson about the last little girl who was 12.
Yeah, that was just a bridge too far even for him. So, all right. Well, thank you, Ray. I appreciate that. So, Ray saying, look, county sheriffs in Colorado, I mean, you can see why these 62 county sheriffs, all of them elected, would come out and say, look, we got a problem with this gun control bill. They're not even allowed, apparently. I don't know if it's changed, but apparently they're not even allowed to carry weapons, even though they're sworn law enforcement officers in the city of Denver. Now, one of the things that's going on, and wanted to alert you to this, President Obama has been talking frequently. This number gets bandied around a lot because this is the justification for these universal background checks. We got to have universal background checks because 40% of all gun sales are person-to-person. They're private sales. There's no background check. We got to get rid of that. So that's the whole push behind universal background checks is 40% of gun sales lack a background check. Well, the Washington Post looked into this, and the Washington Post is calling President Obama out on this and saying he's just simply wrong, that the more accurate figure is somewhere between 14 and 22%. So the figure is about half of the percentage that President Obama has been consistently citing. The Washington Post in February included a question on background checks on a survey of Maryland residents asking whether they went through a background check during a gun purchase in the past 10 years. The result is 21% said they did not. So don't let them lie to you about that 40% figure. 40% of gun transactions are not private transactions with no background check. The number is actually closer to 20% or even less. And you remember Mark Kelly? He's the husband of Gabby Giffords, and he tried to go into this gun shop and buy an AR-15, and he said He wasn't going to keep it. When he got busted buying this AR-15, he testified in the Colorado legislature on the gun bill that they passed, testified against these AR-15s, these sporting rifles, calling them assault rifles and military weapons and all that. So he testifies against these AR-15s in private hands, and then the next day he goes into a gun shop and buys one. And he gets busted on this, and he says, well, I wasn't buying it to keep it. I was buying it to give it to local law enforcement, to turn it in to the local sheriff's office. Well, that's a felony to do that. If you buy a firearm in order to give it to somebody else and you don't declare that, that makes you a straw purchaser. That's a felony offense. You can't do that. So he would have been committing a felony if that was his real intent. And his whole point of doing this little song and dance and this video was to show how easy it was to game the system, how easy it was to buy a handgun without going through a background check. But here's something that he didn't tell people. This is Breitbart News piece. Breitbart's News can now report that though Gabby Gifford's husband, Mark Kelly, successfully purchased a .45 caliber semi-automatic handgun from Diamondback Police Supply on March 5, the gun store had denied his attempts to buy a handgun approximately 2 weeks before that. So Mark Kelly says, look, I got the video to show how easy it is to get a gun and how easy it is to skip past this background check. Well, it turns out that the store had denied him permission to buy a gun from them 2 weeks before because he had out-of-state ID. According to sources, when Kelly first came into Diamondback Police Supply in February, he tried to use a Texas ID to buy a handgun and was denied. In other words, he failed the background check. It stopped him from purchasing the gun. Then 13 days later, on March 5, Kelly walked back into the gun store with an Arizona ID that he used to purchase a handgun. And his sole point was to prove that background checks are easy to beat. Well, he got shut down. And then he got shut down on the AR-15. In other words, when the store owner found out that he was buying the gun to give it to somebody else, that he basically had lied on the form that asks you to declare what you're going to do with the gun, he canceled the sale of the gun. So in other words, the background check system worked perfectly. He wasn't able to buy a gun in the first place until he got the proper ID, and then he wasn't even allowed to buy the second gun once his intentions became clear. And, of course, Mark Kelly edited all of that stuff out of his video. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Linda, let's go to James in Lafayette, Indiana. James, welcome. This is Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
I just wanted to bring up a point about the gun lobbyist agenda. I heard a stat recently that I haven't been able to, check and make sure it was true. But if it is true, it's kind of stunning. You hear all of them. The big thing about the gun lobbyist argument is kids. They want to protect children. But if you look at the stats, there is a 30 to 40% higher rate of alcohol-related deaths, albeit drunk driving or domestic abuse, that children end up dying due to circumstances of alcohol more than children die due to gun violence.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just wonder, is there some sort of agenda that they have behind it with wanting to take away all of our guns and disarming us, which that's not even as prevalent of a problem as alcohol abuse in America.
Well, and that's what's kind of shameful about it, James, and thank you for the call. What's kind of shameful about it is how they will use kids. They always hide behind kids. If they've got a shameful piece of legislation, an unconstitutional piece of legislation, a bad piece of legislation, they can sell almost anything by saying it is for the kids. In fact, you got President Obama not only insulted everybody who lives in Iowa, he insulted Republicans yesterday. Not that he cares about that. But this is what President Obama said. This is a quote. "I do believe that there are well-meaning Republicans out there who care about their kids just as passionately as we do." So Obama says, I know they're out there somewhere. I haven't met very many of them, but there's got to be a handful of Republicans that actually care about their kids. Back in 2.